welcome back to the life of Kenzō. This is Kenzō, my 11-week-old English Bulldog. Today we will be sharing his story of going to the ER for the first time. So let's get started. On Wednesday, September 22nd, I started to notice that Kenzō was not feeling good because he was much more calmer than he usually is. I kept a close eye on him throughout the day, and he was just quiet, just laying, sleeping. And I told my boyfriend, I think there's something wrong with Kenzō. He's just, not acting like a puppy, active, biting, things like that. And so right before we went to bed, he actually puked a bunch of saliva and water. And for me, that was a sign that he was not feeling good. Kenzō has a really great appetite, so I also noticed that he didn't eat as much as he usually does. But I didn't panic. I was like, okay, let's sleep on it. Let's see how he does throughout the night. He slept throughout the night, and then we usually like to wake up around the same time. I usually like to take him outside and then bring him back in. We'll watch a movie and then get our day started. But usually when I take him outside, he likes to, play a little bit and just explore the environment. But this time he just did his business and came back to the door and was done. So I knew there was something wrong with him. And then once we were inside the house, he wasn't really eating his morning food, so I was like, okay, there is definitely something wrong with him, but I'll keep a close eye on him. Just, I didn't want to panic right away. And so as I was working, I work from home, and I was working, I was in a meeting, I heard him puke. So that's when I got concerned, and I went to go check on him, and he had puked all of his food. Here's a little clip of him just after he puked, and yeah, he was just not feeling great. So what I did was I just cleaned his things, and I told him to just, relax, and that's what he did. And I texted my boyfriend. I told him, I think there's something wrong with the puppy. Let's just keep a close eye on him and see how he does throughout the day. So then within an hour, he puked again a bunch of water. So this is where I became concerned. I was like, okay, this is definitely not normal, and there's definitely something wrong with him. But I still didn't want to panic, so I kind of just thought about everything that he could have eaten. And before we brought Kenzō home, we did make we tried to make our home as puppy friendly as we could. So I know that there's nothing in the house that he could have swallowed. But still, I was concerned, so I was just thinking throughout my day, like, what could have been? Could it be the food? But we've been giving him the same food since we got him, so maybe, he developed an allergy or something like that. So around 3 p.m., he puked again some water, and that's when I texted my boyfriend, and I was like, you know what? I think we should take Kenzō to the vet. At this point, we have not taken him to a vet yet because we're still trying to find a good vet in our city. But he does have his first few vaccines that the breeder did before we got him. So we were like, he should be fine for at least the first 3 weeks, right? And so before my boyfriend came home, like 5 minutes before he arrived, Kenzō puked again. And this is where I panicked, and I was like, you know what? I think there's something wrong with him. So I called the emergency room, and I told him about his behavior, what he had eaten. And in my head, I was like, you know what? It could have been an allergic reaction because the previous day I had given him a piece of carrot for the first time. So my boyfriend was like, I don't think it's that. But anyways, I called the vet, and I asked them, and I told them, this is what has been happening with Kenzō. And they were like, you can bring him in. We will check him out and see what's going on. And then, just to make sure there's no blockage. And when they said that, in my head, I was like, oh no, like, this cannot be good, right? And then I was like, maybe he swallowed something outside when I took him and I didn't see. So we ended up taking him to the vet hospital. He was like really, really calm in the car ride. And then when we arrived, it was a little bit hectic because the animal hospital we went to, they were not allowing the owners into the hospital. So what you had to do is call them as soon as you arrived. Then they would check him in, tell you to bring him in, do his vitals, and then they gave him back to me and they were like, okay, wait in the car, we're gonna wait for a few test results and then we'll let you know what's the next step. And nothing was wrong with him, so they were like, you can go home right now, there are a few emergencies ahead of you. What we're gonna do is we're going to do an x-ray just to make sure that he has no blockages or anything like that, and then from there we'll let you know what's the next step. So I was like, okay, but at the same time I was a bit concerned leaving Kenzō all alone. Not that I don't trust the vet, but me and him have grown very attached to each other, and I know that he's really scared of other dogs when they bark. We have a few dogs in our neighborhood, and every time they bark he just runs to me and super scared. We're trying to get him to start socializing, but he's still really small, so he can't walk long distances and things like that. But anyways, I was concerned, I guess, like any other puppy mom. And yeah, so we went back home. We waited for, I think it was almost like 3-4 hours. Anyways, we went back at around 9 p.m. to pick him up, or 10 p.m. 9, I think 9, to pick him up, and my baby was just super happy when he saw me. He just wanted to run into my arms, and they told us that there was nothing wrong with him, there was no blockages, and what he was experiencing were some worms. So this is the first time that I have to deal with deworming my puppy. Once we brought home Kenzō from the vet, he was super happy. He was playing with his toys. They had given him a subcutaneous of fluids, so that hydrated him again because he did puke a lot of fluids. He was getting a little bit dehydrated, so he was back to being a puppy, happy and just playing around. I gave him some of the food that the vet gave us, but he did not like it, and so he really didn't eat that much, and I felt bad because I was like, I know he has a really great appetite, and unfortunately he just didn't like the food. So the next day, Saturday morning, I tried again with the vet food, and I crashed one of the pills, the dewormer pills, for him to eat like that, and he ate it because he was hungry but did not like it at all. And then I served him again the vet food around noon, and he didn't want to eat it. So I ended up calling the breeder and asking them what they would recommend. I told them what had happened, and they said you can give him some boiled chicken and some white plain rice, and that is what I did. So I boiled a chicken breast for him because that's what I had available at the moment. I did not add anything to it, and then I took it out of the water to cool down a little bit before cutting it into tiny pieces for him to eat. With the steamed rice, I didn't add anything to it, and once it was done cooking, I let it cool down for a little bit. I tested by putting my finger in the food just to make sure that it was cool before serving it to him. And so I served him his rice and chicken for the first time and hid some of the medication in there for him to try. However, he found it and didn't like it. But he did devour the chicken. He absolutely loved it. Did not like the rice. So we're going to be looking for other alternatives for him. Again, Kenzō seems to be a very picky eater. Reminds me of his dad, my boyfriend, because he's also a picky eater. But yeah, so he ate, he was happy, and then around 8 p.m. I took him out for his last poop break, or yeah. And then I noticed that after he was done like pooping, he was acting weird. He was like kind of like trying to rub his butt on the ground, and I was like, are you okay? What's wrong with you? And then I told my boyfriend, like, there's something wrong with Kenzō, like, come outside. He's like rubbing his butt, right? And I make sure that I clean Kenzō every single day because of his wrinkles. I want to prevent any irritations or skin infections. So I knew that, you know, maybe he feels dirty, let's bring him in and clean him. So when I was about to pick him up, I noticed this huge worm coming, like stuck in his belly. Sorry about that, noises in the background. And I think it's over. So I noticed a huge worm stuck in his butt coming out, and I panicked. I was like, oh my god, this is so gross. It was the first time that I seen that, right? And I was like, poor little guy, like, oh my god. So I told my boyfriend, like, give me a paper towel, let me just take it out and, you know, help him out. So then I looked at his poop and there was a bunch of worms, and I was disgusted because it was the first time that I saw it. But you know, it's an experience. And I just want to say, if you're a new puppy owner, it is normal. I call the vet and they're like, yeah, it's normal. It's gonna happen for the next few hours. So just, you know, keep an eye on him. But yeah, that was quite disgusting. And then he had a few accidents in the house because he's still potty training, so he's been getting better and better each week, but he still has accidents. So he pees and poops sometimes in the home, and he had one and there were worms in it. And long story short, it's quite the experience. Do not panic if you're going through this for the first time. Just make sure that you're giving your pet lots of fluid, lots of love, because it is them that is going through that experience. And poor little baby Kenzō right here has been doing great ever since. And then what is so fun is that actually on the Saturday, after he finished eating his chicken, we got an Amazon delivery. So I've been looking for a nice little tent for him, and I haven't been able to find anything that really suits Kenzō's needs. So I decided to get him a kids play tent, and he's been loving it, but I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it at all because it's really wonky. It was such a pain to build. So we're gonna we're gonna keep it for a bit now until we find something that suits him. But little guy here is doing so much better today. Oh, I love him so much. Oh, he loves me too. Besitos. So that is our story of Kenzō's first ER visit. And yeah, poor little guy. He's doing so much better now. Thank you for watching our video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!